Hey, we're Docfire. It's time for another gun done video. I have my least favorite guns, Resurrections. I really liked them when they first came out, but especially these are the colored ones, and they're even worse. When I say worse is that I think they were re-anodized by ANS, and by doing so really took a lot of tolerances out. So this will be kind of an informative video. This is a customer's gun. We're going to go through it, but we'll talk about each component and we'll look at a couple things. They're notorious for blowback, and we did some part changes on it and kind of go through that stuff. But anyway, start from the front to the back. Stock Resurrection pneumatics, except a shock deck ram, 1/8 inch and an 1/8 throw, keynote. Stock regulator, except it's got the fire piston in it with springs and the O-rings that comes with it. Lower tube, customer had this built by another tech, and they put a dilazerous valve in it, and they left the heavy hammer in it, which is fine, and so that was what was in it. And then up top, it's so the dilazerous valve, to get them to seal in these bodies is this is my secret on how I do it. I don't use Teflon tape. I think that's janky, and which is what was in here, but sometimes it is the fix if you don't have the right O-rings. So for all the techs that are watching this, buy these O-rings. Buy these two sizes O-rings. They're 2mm thick, the core diameter, and the inside diameter. So if you go to the O-ring store, that's how they're done on metric. 2mm by 13 and 2mm by 14. The 2mm by 14 70-drometers work really good on these dilazerous valves in the Resurrection bodies, and the colored Resurrection bodies even better, because these are, you know, they lost material because of re-ano. The 2x13s work really good on the bolts, especially on these where you have a bolt that really it's hard to get any type of an O-ring hit on it. So you don't have to use Teflon tape. Buy those two sizes, 2x13, 2x14, and that will fix a lot of your 11/16 woes. And just remember not to put that jam nut, not to tighten it too tight where it pushes the whole valve body off center. Could leak past the O-ring. That just snug enough to hold it in place. So that's what was done on that. I did use a 2x14 on the top of the regulator, because literally a 90-15 wouldn't seal, a 90-70 wouldn't seal, and or it would seal, but it was intermittent on that. The 2x13s work good on the bolts, like I said, and pneumatics are pretty fine on because they weren't re-anodized. The hammer in this now is a Jenny Craig hammer from Angry Paintball. It's the slotted style. It's his new version, and he sells that kit that comes with a spring in the back for the dilazerous valve. It seems to work pretty good here. The IVG is about 2 turns in from flush, and the person will do all the velocity adjustment off the IVG. And the key thing is this, is we want to see first on what the velocity is. 291. 301. So that's one thing. So we're 291, 301. That's probably the paint. I'm going to drop the ball in. Put one up on the top. Oh, look at it. It didn't. The ball's still there. It still has a little bit of blowback for it, but very little. It did not push the ball past the, shoot it up in the air. So how we get, my theory on this is, and I think it's pretty correct, the sled all the way forward, as far forward as it will go. Even if you have to use the sled as the forward travel bumper, that's fine. With the 1/8 throw on this, it allows that sled to be all the way forward and enough to allow this to cock. And we're using the Jenny Craig hammer on this, so the length of his slot, it seems to work really good with that. So that's a key thing. you want to make sure if you do this that you don't have the pin hitting the back of the top slot, so it's right there. I know it's not when the ram bottoms out. I know it's not on the lug, so you should be good there. So let's see how this shoots real quick over the chrono. 304, 302, 301, 305, 300, 302. I think that's pretty darn consistent. We're going to turn this off. I'm going to pull the hopper off, and let's look at the pressures. Now, what I get here may not be the same as what you get at your home, so don't try to, don't try to match it exactly. But you can kind of see maybe a starting point or whatever. I'm going to move the camera down so we can see everything. Let's go over here. There we go. I'm going to, I guess I have my measure man, which is a pretty accurate digital gauge. Pretty accurate. Let's see what pressure we're sitting at. We're at, let's say, 300 feet per second. I have very good paint the barrel match on my Scony Epsilon barrel with the Scony short inserts. 190, 191 and 192. So it's a Resurrection rag, folks, with the fire piston. You guys saw the consistency of the chrono. 193, 194. It has maybe a little bit of creep here, but it's right in that. Let's say 195. So if you were to shoot for 200 psi output of your rag with this configuration, you're probably going to get right in that 300 FPS. Now, I do recommend, if you do this, is that if you buy my fire springs or my fire piston, buy the rag seat also for this. Let me back everything up here. As Angry say, facts not fiction. We know that. You guys saw that. We'll cock this. No leak at startup. 306. I think that's pretty good. So, Empire Resurrection may have the fixed stuff. Once again, let's go through what we have on this. Resurrection regulator with the Docfire fire piston in it, springs and rag seat. Lazarus. You could try other valves like the Fat Rat, probably work pretty good, or any other valve you want. It's got a Jenny Craig hammer that if you get a hold of Angry Paintball, you can get this whole kit from Angry Paintball. The other thing is, I was having issues with the Lazarus valve wanting to leak on gas up, and it was intermittent, and it wasn't leaking past the O-rings, the body O-rings. It was there's a sail O-ring in there. You replace it with a number 9, and I talked to Jason about this from Angry Paintball and Mark Davis and a few other techs. That Jason said, can you try a 90 durometer? And I did, and it worked perfectly with this one. A 90 durometer Bruno number 9 up front. And then we have the 2 metric O-rings, the 2mm by 14mm inside diameter. So Lazarus valve, Jenny Craig hammer. It's the springs from Jason, which is probably part of the fire springs, I think. I don't know. He can better tell you on that. Sled all the way forward. Shock Tech ram. We have a Inception Tri-Flow bolt on it, and then a good paint barrel match with I'm achieving that with shooting Nelson Anarchy with a Scony Epsilon barrel with the 3-inch inserts, which I really like. Tends to work really good. So yeah, that's it. So the customer's really happy. Docfire out.